Tariffs should be a dagger, not a blunt broadsword that you swing drunkenly.
Sure.
That's probably the advice. You use it. It can be effective as long as you have a plan, stick to it, and don't go nuts.
Welcome to Manufacturing Insiders. Today we have an exciting conversation with Ben Gaskill. He is a serial entrepreneur. He is one of those exceptional people that really, without any formal training in entrepreneurship, invention, startup, made just some huge successes. He's been on the Inc. 500, Inc. 5000 list. Is that right?
Yes, okay.
For multiple years, which is a very elite group, 1% of all the fastest growing companies in the country, which is just a huge accomplishment. And I think one of the things that's most interesting about his story is the way that he was able to see sort of a traditional way that things were being done in an industry and just completely flip it on its head and revolutionize it and make a huge success out of it. So welcome to Manufacturing Insiders, Ben.
Thanks, Nate. Thanks for having me with an intro like that. The check's in the mail.
So actually, before I get too far into it, I'd just like to say, if you are enjoying the content on Manufacturing Insiders, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, give us a like, share us with other manufacturing leaders, listen to us on your way to work. If you're a manufacturing leader and you have insights that you'd like to share with other leaders, just to make manufacturing more successful in the U.S., please go to manufacturinginsiders.com, fill out the form there, and we'd love to have you on as a guest. So, Ben, can you just give us kind of like a high-level overview of your involvement in the ice and water space and kind of how you changed that, the traditional way things were being done?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So I'm with a company called Bluebox. Bluebox is partnered with and a division of another company called Everest. And we are a manufacturer of ice and water vending equipment. So this is machines that make ice at the point of use where the customer is at a convenience store, for instance, or a grocery store, rather than the traditional antiquated ice delivery model where somebody's making a bag of ice and in a faraway plant and shipping it in expensive trucks with expensive diesel fuel and expensive labor to where the customer is. We can just make it right where they are, and we can make the retailer more money, give them an ice program that's easier to operate, and it's kind of a win-win. So we've named the company Bluebox because we do believe there will be a blue box in front of every convenience store, much like there was a red box for videos at one point.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they already have the coolers out there that are storing all the ice. So instead of that, they could just essentially have your system that's making the ice on the spot, right? Or you still need the coolers to store it, right?
So no, our machine makes the ice. Literally, the customer submits payment, credit card, cash, coin, even a QR or barcode, and as soon as the payment's submitted, the machine creates a bag of ice on site. A little door raises up, customer reaches in, grabs the bag, and goes on about their business. So it's fresh made from the machine on at the point of use where the customer is, and we eliminate that cooler. So that cooler, the bottom 2 or 3 layers of ice, probably sell once or twice a year on 4th of July and Labor Day. So that ice is probably 6 months to a year old at the bottom, and it's it's a product that could have been made 6 months to a year earlier and stored in a freezer warehouse and riding around in a truck and all of that. And so, we had one of our customers made a comment that if you're shipping something around town that's heavy that you can make right where the customer is, something's wrong. And we believe that fully. We think that the model for stocking those coolers, typical ice delivery, the way that ice comes to most convenience stores today, is antiquated. It's no different than how ice was done in the 1800s, right? They used to hack up a chunk of ice out of the pond and throw it in a horse and buggy and carry it into town. Right. That's what these ice suppliers are doing today. And there's a whole host of problems that we can solve for a retailer, but really it's just simply replacing an antiquated system, disrupting the status quo.
Right. And so when you're looking at these traditional ice suppliers, are you looking them as competition, or are you looking at them as a potential opportunity? Like, could you convince them to transition their business model from this labor intensive effort they currently have to, okay, we'll sell you a bunch of our machines, you run them as a service for these gas stations and convenience stores, et cetera?
Well, Nate, that's a great question. I think that that depends on how bright the people are that are working in the in the ice delivery space. I mean, at the end of the day, they know what their costs are. They know what how difficult it is to supply. Like the biggest problem these convenience and grocery store owners have is out of stock, which just simply means that the supplier can't deliver, and so they have empty coolers. And when you have empty coolers, it costs those retailers money. So this is absolutely an option for the Ready Ices and the Home City Ices of the world. Their model is wildly expensive, multi-million dollar ice plants, again, big expensive trucks, all of this stuff just to deliver ice. They've already got the customers. So putting a piece of this equipment in, they get an ROI in a year. And after that, it's, all of their costs go away. So today I would look at them as competition, but we're always open to partnering with the right people. And ultimately it's, again, just depends on how they want to look at us, I guess.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes absolute perfect sense. And I mean, it seems like with the success that you've had and with the adoption that you've had for this product, they're going to have to take a look at it sooner than later anyway.
Yeah, it's coming. We believe this wholesale, that this is the future of the way ice will be done. Yep. And for multiple reasons, our equipment averages over 99% uptime. Out of stock, which we mentioned just a second ago, is up to 10% loss for delivered ice. There's customer theft, right? I mean, customers buy a bag of ice and take 5. That happens all day, every day. And when you start multiplying that across a chain, 1,000 stores, it's millions of dollars between out of stock and theft. There's vendor theft. Frankly, some of these vendors, they'll check in two pallets of ice and one goes back in the truck and gets sold to the liquor store down the street. We've seen that on security footage multiple times. So, wow. So these are all things you can't steal from our machine. You can't fake it. Everything is digital. You can log on and see exactly how many bags of ice you've sold today, last week, last month. And it just sits there and makes ice, right? So it's it uses the same technologies they've already got in their stores. If they have an ice maker, over top of their soda fountain, this is really the same ice maker. It's just a little bit bigger one.
Right. That's amazing. So just kind of backing up a little bit, how did this whole thing start? Like, how did you get the idea? How did you get into it?
So I've always seen the opportunity. Like I'm fully aware of when I see something and I go, well, that just because that doesn't make sense. And why are we doing things this way? Well, and the answer is, well, that's the way it's always been done. You can look at that and say, well, that's ripe for disruption. So in the beginning, I partnered with a gentleman, and we began, a gentleman named Dan Dormal, who's our president, and we began looking for a company that was good at manufacturing this type of equipment. There was only a couple out there. There's still only a couple, frankly. But found somebody that was good at making it, but selling it and marketing it wasn't really their strong suit. So we approached them and said, hey, we'd like to sell your product. And literally I was in my home, he was in his home. We started this business out of our bedrooms and started selling the product. Within 6 months, I was selling more equipment, more machines than they could build. And so they moved over to a contract manufacturer, and we did that for about 2.5 years, and then decided that it's very difficult to maintain innovation and quality control when your contract manufacturer is in Pennsylvania and you're in Florida.
Right.
And so we decided to approach this company and make them an offer for their patents, their design, their company, and bought it all. And so we've been doing this since 2016, and we had to learn to be manufacturers. We were not. I'm in sales. My partner was in marketing.
Yeah.
we were as far away from manufacturers as you could get at that point. So we were self-taught. We literally had to learn, purchasing and supply chain and lead times and engineering, and trying to put on the right set of people that will help us. And so we've been fairly successful at that and been able to build a very good product over the years and improve it. But we were all self-taught.
That's incredible. I mean, that's a huge learning curve. What was so when you moved from the from the sales and marketing side of things to then being responsible to manufacturing, what was the most difficult or the most surprising aspect of that?
Well, I mean, communication's a problem, right? We now we have Zoom, we have a lot of things. That was all kind of burgeoning technology at the time, but trying to communicate long distances, trying to maintain quality control, even though they were building it to our specifications and they were a reputable contract manufacturer. It still is very difficult when you can't just walk in and talk to the guy that's building the machine directly, or talk to the floor manager, or lay your hand on the equipment and see what's happening. So I'll give you an example. It was I hope this isn't too long-winded, but we had machines that in the very beginning, back in 2016 or 2017, that wouldn't make ice and wouldn't vend ice. Now, this is an ice vending machine. It wouldn't do either.
Those are critical.
And so we had customers calling us and saying, this machine is not doing what it's supposed to do. And so we very quickly, got our in-house engineer down here in Orlando, and everybody flew up to the factory and started trying to figure out what was going on with the machine. And if you've ever been in manufacturing, you know that duplicating the problem in the factory almost never happens. It only happens once it's out in the field, right? Then it happens. So we were trying to duplicate it, and it turned out that Scotsman, a global ice maker manufacturer who we bought our ice makers from, had a fan problem. The fan was spinning backwards, literally spinning backwards, so pulling hot air across a condenser rather than cooling it.
Okay.
So the machine was shutting off, and we called them, and they said, "Well, that's impossible." And we said, would you like a video? So we sent them a video. And at the same time, there was a motor controller that was giving us an overvolt warning. And it turned out it was because it was getting hot. And the motor controller had an overheat warning error code that didn't display. And that supplier said, well, that's impossible. We said, well, would you like a video? And so we were able to fix both problems. But that took 4 people flying to another state and being there for a week, and all of these things to try and figure it out. But ultimately, we got it done. And had that been in our own facility, it would have been a couple of hours, and the problem would have been solved. We would have had a solution for our customers, and it would have been much faster. So that was one of the times we realized, boy, we better start building this thing ourselves.
Yeah, that's a great example. So in your current manufacturing facility, what operations is it? Mostly an assembly operation, or are you actually doing some fabrication and component manufacturing? Like what all are you doing there?
So it's mostly assembly. We don't do any welding. We don't do any fabrication. We don't do any powder coating. So we let the people that are kind of experts in that do that. We buy a Scotsman ice maker. We buy the best components that we can. We buy, credit card processing equipment from NIAX and CPI, bill and coin validators, and, kind of on and on. We try and buy the best that we can. And then we, have as much as we can, a just-in-time supply line of inventory that comes in, although that works only sporadically, right? You have to carry quite a bit of inventory, but and then we run the machine down the line.
I see. Okay. And I would imagine when it comes to some of the technology and the machines, you've been subject to some of the tariffs and the uncertainty in the marketplace, has that affected you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one thing when you have a tariff and you say, okay, I know it's going to cost me 20% to order this product from whatever country it might be. But when the tariff careens wildly back and forth at the who knows what drives it, right? One week it's this, the next month it's that. You can't build without certainty, there's no way that you can depend on and build a business model around that.
Right.
And so, as an example, we're 100% made in the USA product. But a lot of our component manufacturers have components that come, we're computer boards and, circuits and wiring and all of it. We live in a global economy. And so it's throttled our ability to reduce the cost of our equipment because it just keeps going up, because even though we're 100% made in the USA, every little part and everything that we buy from suppliers in the United States is not made in the USA. So, yeah, it's been a challenge. There's overseas ice maker manufacturers that are fantastic. It would drop the overall cost of our machine by 30%. But I'm not going to jump into that pool because I just don't know if it's 30% this week or 80% tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. The one manufacturer that, kind of a similar, they're made in the USA, obviously buy a lot of components, from overseas manufacturers. They said that they've been somewhat, protected against the tariffs because they've always traditionally stockpiled a huge number of their critical components just as a normal business. So they're kind of like opposite of lean manufacturing type of philosophy, but that's what worked for them. And so it actually turned out well when all the tariffs came into play. I just was curious, like, what's been kind of the way that you've been dealing with it, or, maybe ways that you already set up your company that helped?
Yeah. So, at one point we had a lot of, when all this kind of kicked off, we were right in the middle of inventory and kind of yelling at our operations guy and saying, this is crazy. Why do we have this much? We don't. And then all of a sudden, oh, okay, we have this in stock.
Right.
And so he likes to claim that was planned. But we all know it wasn't. But look,
serendipity.
Yeah, I think before the tariffs went into effect, you saw a lot of people pre-ordering a lot of stuff that came from overseas, and because we buy in the USA, I'm sure that was happening at all of our suppliers. But that didn't help us because we have to order from US manufacturers. Now, if they're ordering all of their components in advance, you saw the GDP numbers, right? The GDP of the US, shot up, and everybody's like, that's interesting. And it's going to come crashing down this last quarter because it was everybody in the US pre-ordering, trying to beat the tariffs. And so,
okay.
So when you're made in the USA, it's not something that we can do. We, unfortunately, from major suppliers, use Scotsman as an example. When the price goes up, it just goes up. They don't telegraph that to you.
Right.
They're not saying, hey, in 120 days, this is going to happen. You get an email.
Right.
Price is going up, right?
Yep. If you could give one piece of advice to the Trump administration about the tariffs, what would you say?
Oh man, I think I could write a book with the amount of advice that I would give. Tariffs are a tool. Tariffs should be a dagger, not a blunt broadsword that you swing drunkenly.
Sure.
That's probably the advice. You use it. It can be effective as long as you have a plan, stick to it, and don't go nuts.
Right. Yeah. Don't change it constantly. Yeah. I think that's. I think most people would agree with you there. So, it's one thing to be an entrepreneur and have a good idea and want to disrupt an industry, but it's a whole other thing to, achieve $35 million in sales. What what would you say, I guess, your personal characteristics are that contributed to that sort of growth? And then like, what were the physical techniques that you did to, to disrupt the market and to get it in front of the right people?
Well, I'd like to take credit for all that. I think if I have a skill, it's assembling a good team. I'd like to say, hey, I'm great at marketing and I'm great at sales and I'm great at there's only so good you can be, but there's a lot of people out there that are much better than I am.
Right.
And understanding, I think that's probably, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in manufacturing, it doesn't really matter what you do. If you have the ability to recognize what you know and what you don't know, and the ability to recruit and source the people that know what you don't know,
Right.
then and build the right team, you can be, the sky's the limit. You can be as successful as you want. Of course, you have to have a good idea. Ultimately, you have to have a good product. You have to be able to tell your story.
Yep.
But we were learning to be a manufacturer. We brought on guys that have been in that space, right? Teach us, show us what we need to do. We brought on the right people and learned from them. And, now we know a lot about what we're doing, but, it's my business partner's going to hear this and hate it because I say it all the time, but you're either ripe and rotten or you're green and growing. Right. So, let's be green and growing. Let's find the people that know, that are smarter than us. I think that's the key.
So when you moved to the manufacturing side, what was the first position that you hired? Like, who do you find to be the most, the linchpin that you really need to have?
Manufacturing, you got to have a director of manufacturing, whatever title you want to call that, somebody that can recruit, train, streamline your inventory ordering and come up with a way to build the product that you're building in the most efficient and effective way. Mm-hmm. But also in-house engineering. That I can't tell you that the number of times that that story I just told you, right? Without people that were our engineers going, well, that doesn't look right? That's not doing what it's supposed to do, and here's what's happening. We wouldn't have been able to solve the problem. So we respond. We're continually refining our product and making it better. It's not even every generation. It's, we find things that work and we're able to respond quickly. I'll give you an example. During COVID, we had parts that were being built that were made of metal, stainless steel. Frankly, they were over-engineered. It was really over-engineered. These are not structural, not anything else, but they were made of stainless steel or made of some other stuff. And our engineers said, well, let's 3D print. And so we started 3D printing. I probably own more 3D printers than anybody you know.
Really?
Small format, big format, like all of that. And I don't understand any of that.
Yeah.
But I know that we were making components that used to cost $8.25 for 10 cents. Mm-hmm. And that I understand.
Yep.
And so if you can't get it made, make it yourself. Right. And good engineers can help you do that.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's interesting to hear, that you're using 3D printing to that extent. I had this really cool conversation with a guy yesterday that is, he calls it a factory in a box, but basically it's additive and subtractive manufacturing inside of one station. And it's a very amazing product. I mean, I was like, man, I'd love to have one of these, because you could almost start up your own like little garage manufacturing facility with this one machine. But he's just in the process of kind of getting it off the ground, and he sold it to some. But super cool to think about the applications and how it's speeding up production for a lot of manufacturers, and you're making your own components. Yeah, that's really neat. So with the sales side of things, are you still the one that's doing a lot of the sales, or do you kind of have a full team that's doing sales that you're kind of overseeing?
Yeah, I think it's both. We have a large team of folks that handle sales for us. We have a marketing department. We have we have on-site graphic artists. We've got folks that that do outbound outreach and set appointments for our sales team and all of that. But when it comes to the larger opportunities, when it's the top five, our products are in multiple top five convenience store chains in the United States, and when you're having a C-level conversation, that's me.
Right.
I'm gonna talk to them because I've learned to speak their language. I understand what challenges they have, on convenience and grocery store. I understand, what problems, whether it's how to streamline and make things easier for their store level employees, or how to save them money, or all of that. And so I kind of tend to handle the larger relationships, longer term stuff, not necessarily sales, but relationships that are important to pushing forward a project is something that I'll handle. And then we've got plenty of people that sell our equipment. You can buy our equipment. Your Nate Wheeler, host of Manufacturing Insiders, during the day, and at night you want to own your own business, you can buy an ice vending machine, as a single person, and put it out there and make money selling ice.
Yep.
If you're a chain that has 10,000 locations, you can buy ice vending machines and put them at your, it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, which I thought was really cool part of your business model was kind of helping guys create a side hustle and have one of these machines just generating income for them.
Yeah, I think that's everybody, look, everybody wants to make more money, right? I mean, I haven't met anybody, if you ask the question, would you like to make more money? The answer is no.
Right.
But it really is how most people want to do it. They just don't know how to do it.
Right.
And we're a manufacturer. So we're not a licensing agreement. We're not a franchise. We're not any of that. We build a piece of equipment, and then we give you a tool, and the customer does with the tool whatever they would like. We're here to support them. We have full service support. We've partnered with PepsiCo to service our equipment. So all of that. But at the end of the day, it's a bit like buying a bread oven. If you're a baker, I'm going to sell you the oven, but I'm not going to teach you how to run a bakery.
Right.
So we need to make this as easy as possible. And this business is about as easy as it gets to get in. It's a set the machine where people are, give it power, water, and a drain, and you'll start selling ice. So that's kind of it. So we give people a way that they can start their own business in a way that's easy to understand, and easy to implement, and easy to grow. We have owners that have 20 plus machines, right? So it's really up to you what you want to do with it.
That is really cool. Yeah, and it's way easier, obviously, than the oven example, because you don't even have to physically make the bread. It's just making it all for you, mixing it up. And so how many entrepreneurs do you think are out there that are using your machine as a side hustle sort of business?
Oh, over 2,000.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
And so what do you teach them? How do they get in front of, how do they know where to go? Like, where am I going to put my machine? Like, how do I ask permission? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we can help with best practices. We can help by sharing information that we've gathered from entrepreneurs over the past 10 years. This is what they've done. This is how to, so it's ultimately, at the end of the day, placing one of our machines is the same as if you wanted to open up any other kind of business. If you're going to open a pizzeria, you're going to have to find a location that's suitable for putting a pizzeria in. But there's a lot more, a lot more things you have to think about with a pizzeria, right? We just need people, power, and water, and this machine, starts selling ice. And it's interesting, ice vending has been around since the year 2000. So it's a 25-year overnight success, right? It's been around for a very, very long time, but still there's so many people that when they see it, they say, I had no idea. I didn't know this existed. And you may be one of them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen an ice vending machine off the top of my head. I mean, obviously, at a gas station where you get your soda, you can fill up on ice, but not anything that you can like pay for a bag of ice on the spot. But yeah, I mean, maybe we need it in my town. Maybe I should buy some.
Well, we're happy to help you. But no, there's tens of thousands of ice vending machines around in the United States. We've sold more product, more units than any other company, because we specialize in, we haven't built 10 different models. We've been building one model consistently since
Right.
2016. Right? We
Right.
want to be. We have 3 models. 2 of them are based on the same platform.
Right.
So we want to keep the SKUs down. We want to be as efficient as we can, and we want to be as good as we can at our core competencies.
Right. Now, I assume that if it completely depends on venue, but is there like a average, like what could somebody make off of if they were to buy a machine? Like let's just say that they could place it in a convenience store or something like that.
Yeah, so that does. There's a lot of variables there, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
like asking, hey, if I open a gas station, how much money can I make, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
if you put the machine in your backyard,
No.
it'll make a whole bunch of ice. You're going to make no money.
Right.
So the easier way to answer that question really is, a typical convenience store probably sells somewhere in the neighborhood of, depending on the size of the convenience store, 30 to 150 bags of ice a day.
Okay.
The ice sells, depending where you are in the United States, for somewhere between $3 and $4 a bag.
Okay.
Our machine makes that bag of ice for about 25 cents.
Oh, wow.
So the supplier, the Ready Ices, the Home City Ices, the people that bring their ice today to a convenience store, deliver that bag of ice that they sell for between $3 and $4 for about somewhere between $1.50 and $2 a bag.
Okay.
Delivered.
Okay.
We make it for 25 cents. So you can see there's quite a bit of margin.
Yeah.
So the amount of money that you make has a couple of factors. How many bags of ice can you move in a day? And what are you going to sell it for? Right? Some people go for the model of, I'm going to really sell it for a lot less than what somebody can buy it for at the street, and I'll move more units. Some people, we've got customers that are selling in California $8 bags of ice, and we got customers that are in the backwoods of Alabama that are selling them for $2. So it's kind of up to you as the entrepreneur. We're not involved in that. We
Right.
build the equipment, and then you run your business as you see fit. But if you look at some numbers, if you're doing a bag an hour, and you're selling that bag of ice for $3 and you're probably making somewhere around 25 grand a year. So we have a return on investment calculator on our website where you can plug in all the numbers and play with the calculator all day. It's of course not a promise of
Right.
performance or results that you will see,
Yep.
but you can put in some pretty common sense stuff and say, hey, well, what happens if I raise the price of the ice to 25 cents a bag? What's my profit look like? So you can play with those numbers and
That's
really
a cool
kind
tool.
of answer that question for yourself.
Yeah, that's a very neat tool. I'm asking a lot of questions about this because I'm really intrigued by the idea. But if somebody that's never, they're, I don't know, maybe they work an office job, they heard about this and they want to do this as a business model, what are they typically doing? Like approaching, convenience stores, or like who are they approaching to ask if they can set their machine there? Like, do they have to pay for that space? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, so we have customers who have machines on the entrepreneurial side, which is the Everest side. The Bluebox again is commercial, convenience, and grocery focused.
Okay.
But on the entrepreneurial side, we have customers that have machines in convenience stores, even though they're entrepreneurs. But they'll also have them in hardware stores, marinas, campgrounds. We have customers that have off the wall, like in front of an insurance agency, a car wash. We have a machine in the parking lot of a gentleman's club, and we have a machine in the parking lot of a church, and everything in between. So it's
Okay.
really the main thing is, can you put the machine where people can see it and
Right.
access it?
Right.
Can they pull up next to the machine? Ice is heavy. You don't want to make them walk 25 yards carrying 4 bags of ice.
Right.
And beyond that, there's not much to this. It's as close to set it and forget it as you can get, but it's a piece of equipment. There's some maintenance that's required. You got to pay attention to it. You got to keep it clean. That's the main thing.
Yep.
Keep it clean. But we try and make it as easy as possible. One of the things that's different about us than everybody else, and one of the keys to our success, is that we have secret sauce. And our secret sauce is that we have a Scotsman ice maker that makes the ice, and frankly, all of our competitors do too. There's only 3 big ice maker manufacturers in the U.S., so you're going to use one of them.
Right.
We use Scotsman. They're the biggest. We feel they're the best. But that's the ice part of the ice vending. The vending part is what we build, right? That's what we manufacture, is what actually kind of puts the ice in the bag and gets it to the customer.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else that's in this industry has copied the very first design from the year 2000. All of them have the same basic design, and that basic design has multiple moving parts: augers and agitators and beater bars and chain drives and belt drives, kind of on and on and on, to keep the ice from clumping together and to move it around and measure it out and get it out the front of the machine.
Right.
What we did was, we were fortunate that we were able to buy the patents from the guy that was smart enough to, and I told you, surround yourself with smart people. Right. I didn't do this. But he patented a single moving part dispensing system, one moving part.
Oh, wow.
Called Versa Vend. So if you think about a concrete truck, and a concrete truck has the big barrel on the back, and as it spins, concrete comes out, right?
Yep.
Well, concrete is aggregate. It's got rocks, and it's a lot like ice.
Yeah.
So that's what he did. He looked at this and went, and it's a barrel. So in our machine is a large barrel called Versa Vend, and again, patented in I don't know how many countries were patented, a lot of countries. That holds about 550 pounds of ice. And when the customer pays, that barrel does 1 revolution. So just 1 revolution, and out comes however much ice you would like dispensed. So we can dispense 1 pound we can dispense 10 pounds, we can dispense anything in between. But it does it all with a single moving part. So there's no, all of the stuff that tends to break, right? The more complicated something is, we all know this, right? The more likely something is to go wrong. And so all the stuff that tends to break in all of our other competitors' machines, we've engineered that out. The parts don't exist, and if they don't exist, they cannot break.
That's brilliant.
So it's a very, very, very simple. My dad used to say, KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our business model.
Yeah. No, that's a lesson I'm sure a lot of manufacturers could take home. Just kind of rethinking over-complicated, over-engineered things and finding a better way to do it.
Yeah, it's really interesting the way this came about. The gentleman that actually patented this was together with a big group on a church mission in Africa, and they were looking at ways that their church could help and things that they could do. And they realized that refrigeration was a big problem when you got out in the kind of away from the cities.
Right.
And so that was the impetus. That's how this was born. And so they needed to develop something that you could operate in the bush without a lot of attention being paid to it. It needs to do what it does and operate the way that it should, without having all these things that could go wrong with it. So they designed this, and then somebody got smart and went, oh, well, we can do. So there's a whole bunch of machines that were shipped over there, and it's part of this group of guys that wanted to do something nice, and one of them decided to turn it into a business. The guy that actually designed this decided, well, we can sell this and start ice vending here in the United States as a business. And so they did that back in 2008 and sold this product up until 2016 when we got involved. Wow.
Yeah, very cool. I had one other question about functionality. One thing, I have obviously bought ice before at a convenience store, and one of the bags says this is cleaner than whatever they're comparing it to, but cleaner than most ice that you have at your house or whatever. Evidently, they have some filtration process and stuff. How do you deal with the variability in water that you're going to have, wherever you decide to install it?
That's another great question. Yeah, so we're partnered with again, people smarter than me, a company called Pentair, and Pentair is a global company. They make filtration systems, and so in our machine we do multiple steps. So on our Avalanche, I'll use our Avalanche model that's the automatic bagger creates a bag of ice right in front of the customer. Door comes up, they reach in, grab the bag, walk away.
Yep.
So in that machine, we have the same filtration system in all of them, but it's a 4-stage filtration system. So this is sub-micron filtration. So the width of a human hair is 40 microns. We're filtering particles down less than the size of 1 micron. So sub-micron filtration. Back-to-back carbon filtration, which removes taste, odor, chlorine, chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
Then if the water is going to the ice maker, we have something that's called Everest Ice Shield. And Everest Ice Shield is an ozone generator, proprietary to Everest. And it's an ozone generator. And ozone is a disinfectant. It's I think the number is 2,000 times more powerful than chlorine as a disinfectant, but it's not a chemical. It doesn't leave a residue. They've used it for water treatment for decades. So we have an ozone generator on board on the machine, and that disinfects the entire ice pathway. So it disinfects the hopper that holds the ice maker. All of it is continually being disinfected. Then when the ice is bagged in the bagging chamber, we have UV disinfection that is disinfecting the air, the bag, the ice, all of it as it's bagging. The process of bagging is happening.
Yeah.
And then if you're water vending, because by the way, this is an ice and water vending machine, so you can make 2 revenue streams off the same piece of equipment.
Okay.
The water vending, water kind of branches off, and that passes through its own UV disinfection to make sure that we're the safest ice in the ice vending business. So you can ask yourself, what's cleaner? That made on site, on demand, in front of the customer at the moment that they need it, or a bag of ice that's traveled around who knows where for who knows how long. Ice is, I don't know if you've ever had ice cubes that you've gone on vacation and you left something in the freezer that come back, the ice cubes taste like whatever it was that was in the freezer. Yeah. So imagine ice that's sitting in a parking lot, right? Ours made fresh, made on demand. So it's just a different quality.
Yeah. Well, no, that more than answers my question. That's it sounds like pretty good quality ice. That's amazing. So just one more question. What would it cost somebody like me to get into the business? Like how much would the machine cost?
So better question is, how much can I make? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I know. My mind's already there.
Yeah, you can, we have multiple different models. We have multiple different options.
Okay.
In the ice vending space, you can buy ice vending equipment for as low as, say, $40,000. Some of our competitors go up into the $200,000 range, and there's still a return on that investment, which is wild, right?
Right.
We're at the very low end of that scale, so you're probably in the $40,000 to $55,000, depending on model, how you outfit it, what options you'd like, what ice maker, right? We have 4 different ice makers, and they're all Scotsman. It's just how much does that ice maker make? Is this a 2,000 pound a day or a 800 pound a day ice maker, right? You can choose, and the price goes lower as the ice maker is less capacity. So there's all sorts of things. So this is why we have equipment specialists. So anybody who's interested just simply calls up, goes online, submits something. One of our appointment setters calls, asks them a couple questions, asks them what time's convenient, and then puts them on a phone with one of our equipment specialists. All they do is answer questions, and that phone call can last 10 seconds or an hour. It's up to the customer. It doesn't matter. So they'll just answer whatever questions you have, and at the end of it, they send you everything you talked about on an email. And so you'll have everything. Hey, I'd like this on the machine, and this is why you might want that and that in this area. You may want a heater because you're up in the Midwest or whatever it is.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, and I mean, you get it in a good spot. Like you convince the airport to put one in, you'll pay for that machine in a couple months, I'm sure.
We certainly have customers that have 6-month ROIs, right?
Yeah,
And I'm sure we have customers that have a 5-year ROI, right?
right,
What we can't control is how good of a business person you are.
right.
Um, this is a very simple business. There's not much to it.
Yep,
But at the end of the day, it's like any other business. Location, 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 right?
right.
Put it in a
Exactly.
good spot where people are. The jury is not out on whether people buy ice. That's been settled, right? The jury is not out on if humans buy ice from ice vending machines. This has been going on 25 years.
Right.
So that's been settled. It's really just, I mean, we get customers that maintain the equipment, change the filters, keep it clean, pay attention to what's going on. We offer full service here at our facility. They're in contact with their service people, and their machines just, no problems. We have people that don't do anything and leave the thing sit, never change a filter, and wonder why the ice's quality is not the best. So it's
Right.
very easy, very simple maintenance, but it does require
A little
some
bit. Yeah.
interaction. But it's
Yeah.
got to be less than any other business you're going to start. I couldn't imagine
Oh,
anything that would be
absolutely.
less.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great business model, and I do know some other companies that have a similar type of business model. They sell their manufactured product to people that can then start their own businesses. And compared to what I know, this is a very easy lift. It's really cool. But hey, Ben, I think this was awesome. Really love what you're doing. I'm impressed by the success that you made out of the company, and I really appreciate you coming on Manufacturing Insiders.
No, it's fantastic. I appreciate the time. I'm glad that we had an opportunity to chat. I know that I'm always interested in what other people are doing in the manufacturing space, and it's a tough thing to build stuff in the United States, right? It's easier
Yep.
to outsource it, and I understand why companies have done that. You make more money, right? At the end of
Right.
the day. But there's a lot of people out here that are doing just that. So.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why I think it's so great to have, people like in your position, CEO, a president, vice presidents, people that are in leadership positions, kind of just sharing what's worked for them is really the best way I think to make everybody more successful. So really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to us at everesticeandwater.com. Spell out the A&D, everesticeandwater.com.
Yep, and we'll throw some information into contact information into the bio as well.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks a lot again, and we'll chat soon.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Nate.